You're listening to Greg Roberts Live, presented by your Southern Virginia Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com.
Okay, Randy, this is where the old rubber meets the road. This is where, and let me just say we are humbled and honored. This is where the Associated Press has named this team, Greg Roberts Live, and this awesome team we have, best sports in the state of Virginia. For 4 consecutive years.
Yes.
And that only happens when you have good sources and you are gathering reliable information and you are passing it along to your audience, okay?
Okay.
That doesn't happen by accident.
No.
And this is one of the days where I have been on the 7-Eleven hotline pretty much all morning, all day, trying to make sure I can gather up reliable info for this audience. And Randy, I'm fixing to drop some knowledge on you, and I want to see what you think about this reporting. Okay. All right. First and foremost, you heard Randy say, everywhere he goes, people are asking, what's going to happen this fall? What's going to happen this fall? Well, that is the obvious question. And the obvious answer is, good question.
Yeah.
Okay. But obviously, the people behind the scenes, the people in charge of the SEC and the ACC and these college football programs and these athletic conferences, they are scrambling. They are doing the best they can to create a template and come up with a plan so you can have college football in the fall.
Right.
Now, you're trying to serve a lot of people. Think about this. Put all of this in one bowl. You're trying to make sure you take care of your fans.
Yes.
Well, first and foremost, you're trying to ensure you take care of your players, your staff, your athletic department in terms of safety. You don't want anyone getting sick.
Nope.
You don't want anyone dying. I mean, that's a given, okay?
Yeah, right.
Then you want to take care of your fans. You want to take care of your athletic department. You need revenue. These people need to be paid, okay? It takes a whole lot of money to run a major college athletic program. You have all of those people to concern yourself with. You have your university. I mean, across campus, okay? There's a big difference between what athletics needs and what the university needs, okay? And sometimes they conflict.
Right.
So you got to deal with those people. Then there are certain restrictions that are coming down from the government level. You got to deal with those people. Then you got to deal with your conference. And it just ripples out. It continues to ripple out. And you're trying to get your arms around all of this and come up with a coherent plan. Oh, and then you have your TV partners. They have things they're demanding. They have things they need. Okay? They need revenue also. And if you don't have content, okay, if you don't have something to put on the air, you're not going to draw eyeballs. You don't draw eyeballs, you're not going to be able to charge sponsors. Okay,
Right.
So it's all connected. It's all connected. And John Swofford at the SEC and the powers that be at the ACC and the powers at the SEC, they're all behind the scenes trying to figure out what the heck are we going to do? How are we going to make it work? How are we going to get all of this in motion? How are we going to protect, keep people safe and do what we do?
Right.
Get these games, get these games going. Okay. So I'm grinding, and I've been grinding. And for some time, we've been reporting that, we anticipate the ACC will play conference-only games. All right? We've been reporting that for some time because that's what our sources have been telling us for some time.
Yes.
But the ACC got a phone call that changed everything. You know who the ACC got a phone call from? The SEC.
Okay.
And that became a game changer. Okay? Now, the Big Ten came out and said, we're only going to play conference games.
Right.
Okay, well, there you go. That's what the Big Ten's going to do. Then the Pac-12 immediately, we're only going to play conference games. We play football in the fall. It's only going to be conference games. Well, there you go. There's a Pac-12. And the Big 12, right on cue. We're only going to play conference games like the Big 10, like the Pac-12, like the Big 12. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. And I'm like, well, here we go. We were waiting for these dominoes to go. And so now I'm like, okay, next should be the ACC and the SEC to tell us they're only going to play conference games. ACC, let's have it. Crickets. SEC, let's have it. Crickets. And I'm like, what's going on here? How come they haven't said something? The other three of the Power Five have already announced they're just going to play conference games. Where's the ACC and where's the SEC? And then we get notice that ACC Media Days scheduled for next week has been called off. I'm like, okay, well, or you know why it's been called off? Because the ACC isn't prepared to announce anything just yet.
Right.
I don't think we'll hear an announcement probably until the first week of August. We'll have a lot more clarity by then. So here's what's going on. Here's the latest, and it's a lot. So pay attention and hang with me. And if you have questions, hit me on Facebook. I want to make sure I slow down and explain this as it has been explained to me. I want. If you have questions, hit me on our Facebook page or in the Bojangles inbox. Bojangles, it's Bo time. Greg Live at WFIRnews.com. Okay. So already, there are pre-existing scheduled games between the SEC and the ACC. All right?
Okay.
And the SEC said, okay, it looks like we're going to move forward with pretty much conference-only games, but we would also like to have, and of course, this is coming down from the TV partners as well, we would also like to have, in some capacity, an SEC-ACC challenge weekend.
Okay.
Are you following me on this?
I'm with you.
Okay, so picture ESPN or whoever's going to get the rights to this, okay?
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's say second to last week of the season, however the season looks.
So this is kind of like in basketball, the ACC Big Ten
Yes,
Challenge.
sir. Yeah.
Okay.
On a Thursday night, you'll get ACC versus SEC football. Say you get 3 games, okay? Friday night, same deal. And then Saturday, same deal, okay?
Fair enough.
So you here, and this can be done if both the SEC and the ACC adopt the same testing protocols, the same safety protocols, the same gear protocols. You following me, Randy?
I'm with you.
It's almost as if the SEC and the ACC are getting together saying, okay, what is the standardization of how we're going to approach this? We both need to do the same thing. So that will allow us somewhere within this upcoming college football season to play one another.
Yeah, they have to mirror each
To
other.
have an SEC, ACC showdowns. Because what they're trying to do is protect, the already scheduled games. UVA was scheduled to play Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's going to go away because they are not going to start this season until mid to late September.
Okay.
That was like a Labor Day game.
Yeah.
So that's one of the already scheduled ACC, SEC games that will not take place.
Okay.
Okay? Clemson, South Carolina, they want that game to go down. Florida State, they want that game to go down.
Okay.
Louisville versus Kentucky. NC State, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and Auburn. They're already scheduled, okay?
Yeah.
They want to protect those and fill in the remainder with ACC, SEC matchups.
Okay.
Okay. So let me just start right there. So when you hear an announcement that the SEC and the ACC are kind of partnering up going into this college football season, they want to follow the same protocols. They want to adhere to the same rules, the same testing, the same kind of regulations. They want to do that in an effort to be able to compete against one another at some point during the season. You with me?
Yes.
Okay. Those conversations are going on. And Randy, let me tell you who's driving the boat. I don't even have to tell you. Guess who's of all the Power 5 leagues when you're talking college football, who do you think's driving the boat here?
Oh, SEC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The SEC. And fortunately for the ACC, they could pull the ACC along with them.
Yes.
Okay? All right. Now let's go to the ACC. Earlier, it looked like, and this is before the SEC started getting involved, and this is, and I've said this all along, this is the reporting we have at this time. Well, things develop and things change, and apparently things have changed.
Right.
Again, you got a lot of people, Randy, involved in the recipe here, okay?
Okay.
So for the Atlantic Coast Conference, they are having conversations with the SEC about some crossover games if we get into football this fall. And earlier we said, okay, we already, in the ACC, each team already will play 8 ACC games, okay?
Right.
Well, that looked like that was going to be the model for a while. Okay, listen to me, Randy. Throw it out the window.
Okay.
Throw it completely out the window. This is what's being discussed internally. This is what is most likely gaining traction. You ready?
Ready.
The ACC will break into 3 pods. The ACC will break into 3 pods for obvious reasons. You will have a North pod, a Mid-Atlantic pod, and a South pod.
Okay.
And this is just me looking at the league, looking at a map, and projecting how I think those pods could look. Okay?
Right.
Your ACC North pod, you ready?
Ready.
Notre Dame, Syracuse, Boston College, Louisville, Pitt. You got me?
I'm with you.
Your Mid-Atlantic pod, UVA, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, NC State, and Duke.
Okay.
Your Southern pod, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech. Okay, 3 pods, 5 teams each. And especially earlier in the year, they want to keep you kind of geographically in your footprint, limit your travel. So what's being proposed right now? Let's look at the North pod. Okay,
Right.
you play everybody in your pod. That's 4 games.
Okay.
Okay, you play everybody in your pod. Let's say the North pod, Notre Dame, I think, will be in that pod. So Notre Dame plays Syracuse, Boston College, Louisville, and Pitt. Everybody gets 4 games in their pod. Then it looks like it's either going to be an 8-game regular season or a 10-game regular season. If the SEC component actually comes to life, then you'll also play an SEC game. That gets you to 5 games, okay?
Okay.
And then you'll pick up 5 more ACC games, or a combination of ACC and I don't know. I mean,
could you do SEC games?
well, you may even be able to pick up an independent because they don't have to follow anyone's stipulations, regulations.
Right.
Or you may, I don't know what the MAC has declared, but I'm thinking about UVA and Virginia Tech.
Right.
Let's say the ACC said you're going to play your pod. That's 4. You'll play 2 teams from the other pods. That's 8. You'll play an SEC game. That's 9. And then if you want, you can pick up a 10th game. And then if you're UVA and Virginia Tech, you draw a circle around those 2, and you're like, okay, well, let's talk to Old Dominion. Let's talk to Marshall. Let's talk to Liberty. Okay, right. Let's see if their safety measures and procedures could align, and we could play. This is why I told you we were going to drop some knowledge on you today, because this is. I mean, smoke was coming off my brain today, Randy, trying to get my arms around this.
Sure.
All right, let me make sure that I'm explaining this. So if the SEC doesn't work out, Randy, then the most likely scenario is 8 ACC games.
Okay.
And that would be home and home in your pod. You
Right.
don't leave your pod. Home and home in your pod. So in the Mid-Atlantic pod, Virginia would have a home and home with Virginia Tech, a home and home with North Carolina, a home and home with NC State, and a home and home with Duke. You understand that?
I'm with you.
That's if you don't factor in the SEC component, which they really want to protect. They really want to keep the those games out there, especially for their TV partners. Like for instance, Notre Dame is gonna be in the ACC involved in this. Okay,
Right.
so who would Notre Dame get in their SEC crossover game this fall? Alabama, LSU.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yep.
Who would Virginia Tech get? Who would UVA get? So those games are going to be out there, and then there could also be the possibility that you could pick up one game outside of your conference bubble. You see how quickly these things
Sure.
can change?
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I started working on this yesterday, and today it really picked up momentum. And then I'm talking with people in the SEC, and I'm also talking with people in the ACC. I talked to my mole down in Greensboro, and you know what I got?
What's that?
You know what I got? Guess what I got?
A different story.
No comment.
Oh, okay.
Which usually tells me,
Right.
I'm getting near some good stuff here.
Yeah.
All right, let me try to recap this, okay? I know I just threw a lot of information out there. And bear with me. Hopefully I haven't confused anyone. So from what I've been able to understand, what I've been able to dig up from reliable sources, there's something going on between the SEC and the ACC. You notice, Randy, neither one has said, we're just playing conference games only.
Right.
If you're just playing conference games only, you would have announced that.
Yes.
So when people say, hey, there's a probability the SEC and the ACC, they're trying to work out a little crossover game in there for the fall. Yes, that's exactly what's going on.
Okay.
That's why you haven't heard from the SEC and you haven't heard from the ACC, and it's why Swafford shut down the media days for next week.
Right.
They're not ready to announce what their fall's going to look like. Okay.
No, and they said what? That we may not hear anything until the 1st of August.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, from what we've been able to gather, there are conversations going on with the SEC and the ACC.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2, they will agree upon whatever the safety measures are, whatever the equipment measures are, whatever the testing measures are. They will both agree, so they are in compliance, and it will hopefully, fingers crossed, allow them to compete against one another. All right?
Right.
The ACC, the model that is gaining traction, the 3-pod geographical model.
Okay.
A northern pod, a mid-Atlantic pod, and a southern pod. That makes sense for all the obvious reasons.
Sure.
If it's 8 games and the SEC doesn't work out, you could get home and home with the teams in your pod. That'd give you 8 games. Okay? It would restrict your travel, would restrict your expenses, would give those players games to play and fans games to watch. Okay?
Right.
If it is an 8, if the SEC, and you know the TV partners are going to be doing all they can to push for the ACC and the SEC to have those crossover games.
Right.
Okay. Then it could grow to 10. If it grows to 10, you play everybody in your pod. You play a couple of teams from the other pods. You play an SEC game. And you might even get the green light to pick up an independent or someone within the region one time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what's going on right now. Okay. This is what's going on. This is what's being chewed and analyzed behind the scenes right now. And it is extremely, extremely interesting. And my promise to you is I'm going to continue to work these sources and continue to try to see how this is going to shake out and continue to try and be able to serve as the conduit to get you reliable info.
Well, like you were saying, with the SEC came out today and said, look, we're gonna postpone some of our other sports until August 31st, maybe later, for the simple fact of COVID. But football is not being addressed yet because, like you said, that's their revenue generator.
There are a lot of people with skin in the game when you're talking college football.
That's it.
You have a lot of people that have true and high motivation for you to get that sport in and going.
Yeah, SEC said volleyball, soccer, cross country, things like that will be moved.
How much money does the SEC make on those
Zero.
sports? Exactly.
And they would not talk about football. But one of the things that I found interesting today was that the SEC commissioner basically come out and said, not only are we in talks with the ACC, we're also in talks with the Big 12. So it kind of makes you think maybe this isn't just an ACC deal.
So he said that publicly? What time did that come out?
He added the ACC, the SEC.
What time did that come out?
That come out about an hour ago.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And
see what I've been grinding on the last 2 days?
Yep. He said that the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12 have been constant in their stance to use this time to extend its availability to gather information. So it kind of tells you that they're working with partners now.
And let me tell you what else it tells you, because the Big 12 came out and said, we're playing conference-only games.
Exactly.
And now what? Now they're going
backtrack.
Who drives the boat in college football?
SEC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, when the SEC calls the ACC, guess what phone call gets picked up? Hey, John, SEC's on line 1.
Yeah.
Ooh, let me answer that call. Okay. So, Randy, I'm telling you, man, I've been burning that 7-Eleven hotline up all day, and there's a lot of interesting things going on. And it's fluid. It's fluid, and we're doing our very best to tap into those resources that we think can provide us reliable information so we can get it to you.
You know, and if we do have a home-and-home series in the ACC, like Virginia Tech, I'm fine with that.
Well, that's if it just stays ACC games in those 5 pods.
Right.
And you just do a home-and-home with the teams in your pod.
Because to see the Wahoos beat the Hokies 2 times this year, I am great with that.
Wait a minute. That would be worth you getting COVID. Is that what you're telling me?
I would drink out of that Commonwealth Cup. Thank you very much.
All right, friends. All right, friends. Hopefully that again, we're all of this is developing, and we're doing our very best to stay on top of it for you. All right, we got a big second hour coming at you. He's Randy Levwich. I'm Greg Roberts. Working hard for the good people here in Central Southwestern Virginia. Greg Roberts Live.
The Bram